Hey, Paul.
How's it, guys?
What's happening, man? Episode 202.
Yeah, here we are.
Second one in the new studio. I enjoyed it last week. I'm enjoying it even more this week. As we packed on the kilos, as we've got a bit older,
In the space.
it helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit more space.
Yeah, it's like it to just be a little bit more maneuverable and be able to get in and switch on and get things done.
Yeah. So improvements made. Lots happening this week in aviation. We've had dodgy medical doctors here in South Africa. Turns out that was, I don't know if you heard, that was the South African Airways medical doctor.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's going to be some scrambling going on there at SAA version 2.
That's going to cause an upset. No doubt some delays and cancellations. I mean, that doctor would have done the majority of their medicals there.
I would think so, particularly cabin crew and stuff. I think the flight deck crew, you sort of tend to stick with your preferred medical doctor. I don't think you're forced to go to your company doctor. But no doubt there were some. So now, we don't know what it's all about. But the CIA were quite sort of
punchy in
their media statement.
Yeah.
Geez, the media, it was on every social network.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what we're talking about here, if you're overseas, one of our medical doctors, it's actually said she was issuing fraudulent certificates. So we'll see. We'll wait till the official stuff comes out. But no doubt some scrambling going on at version 2. And then there was a Delta 900, CRJ900 that got smacked by an A350. It was like...
looks like the A351.
It was a real lightweight, heavyweight situation going on there.
Shit.
And it sort of clean cut that tail off. It's happened before. Remember a few years ago, there were aircraft parked in the bay. It was, the difference that last time was the aircraft was at a slight angle, and it actually quite a few people got injured because the aircraft moved. This time it looked like a hot knife through butter.
Yeah, no, it was insane how cleanly it cut it off. I mean, I have to laugh though, like people's sense of humor. Have you seen all the jokes and the memes that are coming out about that particular incident?
No.
I mean, there's one I came across there. There's a picture of old David Attenborough. Yeah. And this bubble that pops up says, like many lizards, the CRJ has the ability to shed its tail when attacked by a predator.
Is that plane done now, I would say, eh?
It's finished.
It's finished. They're not going to fix it.
Yeah. Although there probably are some operators out there that would have it flying again by the same after.
Yeah, nothing a bit of duct tape can't fix. When I was in the States many years ago, I went to one of these facilities that chops up aircraft, for spares. They had a 320 there. And it amazed me at the time how little force they actually had to put on that aircraft to crack it in half and crack the tail off and break the wings off. Yeah. So it's not so much... It's the strength of an aircraft is very, very strong when it's moving in the directions that it's supposed to move. Yeah. But as soon as you exert a force on it in an area where it's not supposed to take a load, it it breaks very easily.
Yeah, it's insane. Eh? I mean, it's quite astonishing how fragile they actually are.
It is
in a lot of ways. Eh?
Yeah. Let's jump to something quite serious. Yeah. So the preliminary report came out for that. How do you pronounce it? Is it Voepass?
Voepass, I would assume.
72, the ATR 72-500 crash. So I'll go through it with you. I've taken the main things out of the report, and then we can have a discussion. Yeah. So it says preliminary findings on the ATR 72-500 crash suggest icing was a key factor. After repeated ice alerts and issues with the airframe de-icing system, the aircraft stalled and entered a fatal flat spin, crashing near Sao Paulo. All 62 people on board perished. Investigators are focusing on the anti-ice system, human factors, and operational conditions. The nicely structured article that I'm getting this, Jen, from is from Flight Global. I'll leave that link in the notes. Quite interesting. So icing has emerged as the main line of inquiry into the fatal crash. The findings from the incident, the accident investigation team show the aircraft, which departed Cascavel for Sao Paulo on the 9th of August, was dispatched with one of its 2 air conditioning packs in op. Dispatch was permitted in line with the MEL, but did include a restriction for flight level 170. After the ATR took off from Cascavel's runway 15, propeller anti-icing was switched on. As it climbed through 13,000 feet, an electronic ice detector sounded and the crew turned on the airframe de-icing system. But shortly afterwards, says the inquiry, the crew remarked on an airframe de-icing fault and switched the system off. Over the next hour of flight, the electronic de-ice detector issued at least 5 alerts, each lasting several minutes. But the inquiry indicates that the airframe de-icing system was only turned on as the aircraft neared Sao Paulo, and the crew was coordinating with the airline's operations control. About 1 minute later, the aircraft performance monitor, which checks for higher than expected drag from ice accumulation, warned that the cruise speed was low. The aircraft was traveling at 191 knots. As the crew started briefing for the approach and contacted Sao Paulo approach, the airframe de-icing was again turned off. Approach control instructed the aircraft to remain at its cruise altitude of 17,000 feet, owing to traffic congestion at flight level 150. The ATR had slowed to 184 knots, and the performance monitor issued a higher level alert indicating a further degradation. The alert sounded as the crew was exchanging communication with air traffic control. Upper atmospheric data shows the air was very humid, which combined with sub-zero air temperatures favored the occurrence of severe icing between flight level 120 and 230. As the aircraft continued to hold for clearance, the first officer remarked that there was a lot of icing, and the crew turned on the airframe de-icing system for the 3rd time. Controllers instructed the ATR to fly to a position Sanpa waypoint at flight level 170, advising the crew that descent clearance would follow in about 2 minutes. The crew acknowledged the instruction, and the aircraft commenced a right-hand turn towards Sanpa. But as it turned, with its speed having fallen to 169 knots, the aircraft began to vibrate and a stall alert activated with a warning to increase the speed. The aircraft rolled 52 degrees left, then 94 degrees right, and turned 180 degrees clockwise. The turn then reversed to anti-clockwise, and the ATR descended in a flat spin, fully rotating 5 times before striking the ground. Final conclusions have yet to be drawn over the accident, and several avenues of inquiry are being followed. It's important to emphasize that there's no single factor for an accident, but rather several contributing factors. So it does paint a whole picture. And sorry, I had to steal the podcast there for you from 5 minutes, but you have to paint the picture. Now, as a pilot, put yourself in the shoes, and let's take everything else aside and just put yourself in the flight deck when you are now busy turning to that position Sanpa, and the aircraft banks violently to the one side, followed by a roll to the other side with a 180 degrees clockwise turn, and then a spin in the opposite direction. That must be flipping scary.
No, listen, can only just imagine how frightening it must have been for the flight crew and all the passengers on board. Horrific, because it was just totally unrecoverable. There's nothing you can do.
The only thing that could have been done, reading the report, is to have sorted this problem out earlier on.
Yeah, exactly.
So it looks like things could have been, the ice protection could have been turned off to stop the disruption during the briefing. That's what I'm drawing. And of course, this is taking it from the investigation. This is a preliminary report. It's not saying that's what actually happened. It's just, as a pilot reading it, you say, well, I can understand that if this thing was, that oral warning was going, well, eventually it becomes a hassle. Let's just turn the bloody thing off and complete the briefing, then we'll turn it on type of thing. Yeah. That sounds like what could have been.
And the sad thing is, like, I hate saying this, but there's a bit of a lack of situational awareness that gets factored in here with, not paying attention to the reducing speed. The other frightening thing is the enhanced warning that comes with that. It's like saying, listen, there's something wrong here. why not do something about it? And quite rightfully, yes, they didn't have an option to descend down to level 150 because of traffic. But then why not request a level lower than that? I don't know. The icing seems pretty bad because they were forecasting icing from 12,000 to 23,000 feet. So they were in some shit weather.
They were in some really bad weather. Do you think it happens sometimes with crew that maybe this crew have had this before? And because it says there that warning was going on for several minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, to let something go on for that long, do you think something like this could have happened before and then you get away with it and then you become like a little bit, this bloody ATR does this all the time, and you like, become complacent in that area until one day it goes and bites you.
Yeah, that definitely does seem to be a factor, and you got to watch out for that.
Yeah, it's a very, very sad, horrific accident, and obviously we'll follow it. And when that official report comes up, we will no doubt be looking at that for many years when it comes to training, and it'll be implemented into training programs and all sorts of things. But
yeah, no doubt that's going to be the way. That's where the focus is going. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more attention put on that aspect from now on.
Icing is rough, eh? Icing is a problem. Icing's a major problem, not just in Africa, not just in Europe or South America in this case, or winters in America. In Africa too, it's a problem.
Yeah, look, it's
how many
just
times
one of those elements that you deal with as a pilot that, you got to have your finger far out.
I've had a captain say to me once that no, but in Lagos it's hot. They don't get icing. You have to
like bullshit, man.
What are you talking about? But another prang that happened that Nepal Bombardier 7 CRJ200 involved in the fatal Kathmandu crash did not comply with aircraft loading requirements. The jet experienced a high pitch rate and oscillations shortly after takeoff. Incorrect takeoff speeds and inadequate ferry flight procedures were noted. Only the captain survived. You saw that one on the CCTV.
Yeah, man, that was also another very horrific prang, and hard for us to watch because we got a soft spot for the CRJ, and that particular airframe was the first one that you and I actually flew.
That's pretty amazing, eh?
Crazy.
Well, that's Zulu Sierra November Mike Golf.
We did our base training on that area. It was actually one of the nicest CRJ200s that we flew, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But, I don't know.
Actually, when I looked at that video, to me, you said what happened. It looked like to me that they almost tried to take off with one engine. That's what it looked like to me. It seemed the acceleration was so slow, and then as it rotated, it just fell into the ground. So we'll see what happens there.
Again, it didn't seem to be that there was any evidence of an engine failure. There was no smoke trailing from either of the engines. It just rolled and flew into the ground. But I suppose incorrect loading does make a bit of sense. But
how incorrect can you? Well, what were they carrying in that cargo hold, I suppose?
Yeah, but the CRJ200, remember, if you're flying it empty, we had to take ballast on short sectors in the boot to get the CFG far enough backwards.
I've forgotten about that.
So, I don't know. Something just doesn't make sense there.
Another prang, a Cessna 550 Citation 2 crashed near Odessa Airport on the 20th of August, killing the pilot and one passenger. The aircraft failed to gain more than 10 feet of altitude, striking power lines and a restaurant. The witness noted unusual engine sounds during takeoff. The NTSB and FAA are investigating the cause. I didn't actually see any pictures of this one.
No, I just saw the aftermath. And, again, another very tragic, and I think would probably be an unnecessary prank.
Yeah. Any prang, all pranks suck.
Yeah.
Put it that way. This next one, I know you like because you were waiting for the YouTube video of this one to come out.
Yeah, we've been waiting for this Ural Airlines, that A320 that landed itself in the field there. Well, it didn't land itself, but the pilots put it down that field due to fuel shortages a while back.
Yeah.
And they left the thing parked there, and then there were rumors going around for a while that they were actually considering flying it out, which I was very excited to see because that was going to be an epic.
I'm pretty surprised that
Video.
they're not.
So they've chopped it up now.
They've chopped it up.
Chickens.
Yeah. It was stuck there during the winter, obviously, with all the slush and everything, but then they were waiting for the ground to dry up and then clap it out. Maybe if there wasn't as much publicity around it, they would have. Yeah, just under the radar.
Either that or the Oaks from Aerodata got hold of him and said, listen, Oaks, we run the figures and it's probably not going to work.
I don't think they were using much performance data there. You've been following the astronaut story, pal.
I have. That Boeing Starliner capsule thing. I have been following it with a bit of interest. Shame those poor Oaks have got an extended stay.
Can say that again. They were supposed to go for like 5 days or something.
8 days.
8 days.
8 days. Now they're there for 8 months.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
From a mind, I suppose they've got people talking to them all the time from a psychology point of view, and they're keeping them busy in there and involving them in meetings to try and keep the whole ticker working properly there. But
no, it
man
sucks,
alive.
If you've only packed to go away for 8 days and you end up being stuck there for 8 months,
that sucks, man.
Sucks. To me, it was tantamount to being called by SACS OCC saying, "Hi, please, you must do extra sectors." Only worse.
Yeah, this is much worse.
I was watching an interview the other day they did with one of the astronauts. Had been up there on the space station, and she was explaining, what conditions they're facing. Obviously, a lot of people are asking, like, how, have they got enough clothes and food and supplies and all that to keep them going? And it sounds like it's pretty jacked up there.
You would think so.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
You would hope so.
But anyway,
it must have been sad as well to see, because they returned the other day with the Starliner spacecraft safely returned to Earth on September the 7th.
Yeah.
And you see this thing departing. Oh. I did hear that they are like 90% sure that it would be okay if there's a real emergency that happens, if they do run out of food, if they think they can get them back. They're just not willing to take the risk.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough.
Look, I think there must have been a massive caucus there with the Boeing brand there saying, listen, Oaks, we cannot afford to fuck this up with astronauts with a big Boeing sticker on the side, because we don't need that bad publicity.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. The DOT has launched a probe into frequent flyer programs by American Airlines, Delta, Southwest, and United over concerns of potential unfairness and anti-competitiveness. The inquiry will assess program transparency and consumer protection. So this is all about what did SI have, the frequent flyer program and all these things.
It's a crock of shit.
It is. What's going on here, though, is obviously the Biden administration is nearing the end. We don't know what's going to happen in the elections, but it's a very weird time to bring this whole thing up, because there's going to be administrative change anyway, even if the Democratic Party stays in power. But it seems like a little bit of a power trip by the electorate that is pushing this thing forward. Seems a bit silly, to be honest.
Yeah.
How did it work with us with the travel? When you travel for an airline and they position you overseas, you can't claim those miles, hey?
No, I don't think you could, because the ticket was bought with some special code on it. It had it.
Oh, true.
Yeah, they had like their own code.
True.
Like an internal.
So crew don't really benefit from this.
No, you couldn't get anything right there. I'd have to, if I remember correctly, buy the ticket with your own credit card, and it would get.
True. Yeah. But if just reading up on this and doing a bit of research before, it's a major thing in the States. A lot of people, it's tied to credit cards and hotels and all sorts of things. So there's like it's a major business, this whole frequent flyer program. Air Belgium faces bankruptcy. Did you know about this? I didn't.
I'd been reading some threads on this over the last couple of months. I mean, it started where they had an A330 that was coming into South Africa. Then that route lasted like, I don't know, 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
And slowly but surely they've been giving away the Aries and cutting back on routes. So I think it was inevitable.
The airline needing 18 million euros to avoid collapse has been shielded from creditors for the entire year. So it's not looking good there. So imminent collapse there at Air Belgium.
But the Belgian airlines always seem to cuck off a bit, wasn't it? Sabina. Many years ago, which was a very cool airline. Same thing. They don't seem to last. Belgians are very good at making beer.
Not so good
at running airlines.
Yeah. There's probably too many restrictions involved and bureaucracy to run an airline there.
Yeah.
Turkish encountered some severe turbulence the other day en route from Istanbul to Taipei, injuring 6 people, including 2 crew members. The flight did land safely in Taipei. This turbulent nonsense is still happening.
I don't know why it's becoming such a common thing.
It's such a big thing now.
You can't tell me that turbulence is this new thing now, and
it's because we're not flying with the airline. It was lekker and smooth.
It's valid.
Now it's a major thing. Yeah. I don't know. Originally, I think I commented on a podcast a while ago that is it not to do with the fact that you just hear more about it now because people are more, open to posting about their flight but it's not. It's it has increased. The turbulence is getting worse.
Yeah.
So buckle up.
Yeah.
Don't take your belt off. Go to the bathroom, come back, and put your belt on. There was a funny thing on. I wish I had actually got but I wouldn't be able to play it now anyway. I think it was on Fly Africa. There was a John Cleese old clip. I don't know if you saw it when they were pretending they were crew. Flip, it was quite funny. A real old-fashioned humor, but they were making their own turbulence.
All right.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. BA cancelled over 200 flights from London due to operational issues last weekend. Most affected flights were short-haul with passengers facing delays and scammers exploiting the situation. And that's what I want to harp on. Every week we're talking about the scammers, but Paul, the scams
they're getting
are
out of hand.
insane.
Yeah,
they're insane, and now it is becoming a factor with in airlines.
Yeah,
one airline, it was in Europe, a small airline. They had their website cloned the other day as well, and people buying tickets, and of course not there. There's very fancy things. The problem is, do you find you used to getting scams?
Yeah.
You see it, and this is a scam, and you toss it aside. But every now and again, it's a little bit more advanced, and your brain almost goes into autopilot mode. Okay, I've seen this before. This is a real thing. Okay, let me just send whatever details they need, and before you know it, you've been scammed.
Yeah. I definitely have found lately that there's been more and more of that, and definitely more and more, like you say, harder is, I suppose, the right
harder to identify.
And to try and steer away from. But you just got to be on top of your game and don't get suckered into any of this. Okay.
So it leads me to the a toolbox tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can actually use ChatGPT for that as well. Like a lot of things, you can use ChatGPT for. But if you get an email and you screenshot that email and just chuck it into ChatGPT, you can actually ask the email, ask ChatGPT, is this likely to be a scam or not? And it actually comes up with some very valid points as to if you're not sure what you can do, or it blatantly says, yes, 100% that is a scam. I mean, we're seeing it in the workplace with regards to one letter changed of an email address. In other words, spelling my name with an I or something instead. And very hard to identify. But ChatGPT is actually quite good at picking that sort of stuff up. So chuck it if you're not sure. First of all, don't do anything. I heard you on the phone the other day. Someone, you said, I'll actually come into the bank for that, thank you. Because and that's what you have to do. You have to slow down. When you know it's a scam is when your account's going to be closed in 5 minutes and you have to do this and someone had one the other day with DSTV just before the rugby. They got a message about their DSTV account and they had to do this and that because now you want to watch the rugby. You've had 6 beers already in preparation for the Springboks beating someone. And let me just play this. I thought that's actually pretty clever.
Yeah. I mean, now you got to watch out for that. Yeah, that particular one, I mean, what raised an alarm bell in my head was there's all this thing about FICA at the moment.
Yeah.
Now, FICA,
I actually had a real one.
FICA was a thing 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. All that shit's been sorted out.
Yeah.
Or RICO, what do they call it?
You can check it on, go to the app. So if you're dealing with F&B or whatever, it'll give you the same notification on the app. If it's not there, laugh it off.
Exactly.
But anyway, nonetheless, a lot happening in aviation this week. A few more stories that we left out, but we'll chat about them in the next episode. Any plans for the weekend, Paul?
No, I'll be working. Grafting weekend, this one.
There's no Springbok rugby this weekend.
No. We're only playing again on the 21st against Argentina.
Yeah.
And that game will be in Nelspruit.
The rugby championship is basically won.
Yeah.
I think we're 1 point away from securing that trophy. There is some very, very good UFC this weekend. And why it's cool, if you're interested, I think you're flying on that morning, but try and pick it up because it's in the Sphere in Las Vegas.
Oh,
you know
really?
that big...
that's been, is it one of the first events in the Sphere?
It's the first UFC events in the Sphere.
It's been highly anticipated.
It is. Dana White's actually hoping to win an Emmy, a Grammys, and an Oscar for this thing, genuinely. Actually, because they're doing a hell of a production. It's only going to be done once. They're never doing it again. It's hugely expensive to put on an event there. So they're not doing it again. So it's a one-off.
Okay.
And obviously, normally if there's a UFC fight, boxing fight, whatever, you've got the crowd either side. Now, obviously, with the Sphere, the crowd is sort of sitting more in like a theater.
Yeah.
The ring or the octagon in the front, but then at the back and the roof is a massive TV screen.
Yeah.
So they're going to be playing like different sort of videos and all sorts while the fight's going on. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Shit.
Yeah.
I'll hopefully be able to catch the highlights afterwards.
And then on a final note, I've put together, I think it's pretty cool. When I lived in the UK, back in the day, they were big. We love going to these pub night quizzes.
Yes.
It's an excuse to be stupid. So we've
Not
got
that we need that excuse.
No, but we got some high-level aviators that listen to Bryan Air podcast.
Yes, we do.
Every week. Some legends of the industry. And if you're interested, in top of the show notes, there's a little link to a quiz. And let's see how sharp you actually are.
Yeah.
Let's see who's the best. So, you can either click it there at the top of the show notes, or if you just go across to my website, bryanrosevear.com, right at the top, there's an announcement bar there. You can just click it, and it's just for fun. You can put your name, email address, and you don't have to put your, if you don't want to use your full name, if you're a little bit scared that you might not get 100%.
Just use an alias, but
use an
do
alias.
it anyway because no doubt you'll have a good laugh. I certainly did.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Giving something new a try. But anyway, have a lovely weekend ahead, everyone. It's Thursday morning, so I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but Thursday you go into sort of
weekend mode.
Shot, pal.
Like a bit. Take it easy.
Bye for now.
Ciao.